The sun on Varel 5 was large and blue, hanging heavy over the city of Tormalith. Its light made everything look cold and sharp, like the world had no place for warmth. In the center of the city, a crowd had gathered. Thousands of aliens stood, in silence. Their faces were pale and long, their eyes silver, their robes dark. Some whispered. Others only stared. All of them were looking at the platform in the middle of the square. On that platform stood a young alien girl. Her name was Sayela. She had smooth lavender skin, long silver hair that touched her back, and bright violet eyes that no longer sparkled. Her arms were chained, her legs weak. A strange collar glowing red sat around her neck. It was made to suppress power and hope. 2 guards stood behind her, tall and cruel-looking, holding shock spears. The High Judge stepped forward and shouted in a loud voice, "Sayela of House Varen, you are found guilty of treason against the Great Order. You refused the Union. You denied your place. You will now be erased." The crowd didn't cheer. They just watched. Cold, quiet. Sayela said nothing. She had already cried her last tear the night before. She was ready to die. Far from the front row, standing at the edge of the crowd, was a human man. His name was Dane Carter. He wore a brown leather jacket, dusty boots, and carried a simple bag on his shoulder. His short hair was messy from travel. A few scratches marked his face. He didn't belong here, but he had arrived at the wrong time. Or maybe the right one. He saw the girl. He saw the fear in her eyes, even though she stood proud. He looked around and whispered to himself, "Why? Is no one stopping this?" The alien next to him shrugged. "She's nothing, just another symbol." Dane didn't like that answer. He stepped forward. Sayela closed her eyes as the execution drone flew above her. It charged up, humming with deadly energy. Her chains tightened. The High Judge raised his hand. "Final words?" Sayela looked up. "You can chain me. You can silence me. But others will rise." The crowd didn't move, until a voice called out, "Let her go." Everyone turned. A single human was walking through the crowd. Dane Carter. He had no weapon, no shield, no army. But his eyes were strong. He stepped up to the front line. I said, "Let her go." The guards raised their weapons. The High Judge blinked. "Who dares speak?" Dane didn't stop. He stepped onto the platform. "I'm taking her with me," he said. Sayela looked at him, confused. "What?" "Just trust me," Dane whispered. The guards moved to stop him. Too late. Dane grabbed one of their spears, twisted it, and slammed the butt into the first guard's head. Crack. The second guard lunged, but Dane ducked, punched him in the gut, and kicked his legs out. The crowd gasped. The execution drone turned toward Dane. Charging a blast, he grabbed the fallen guard's weapon and fired. The drone exploded in midair. Sparks flew. Panic spread. Dane rushed to Sayela, broke the control ring on her collar, and caught her as she fell into his arms. "You're really doing this?" she asked weakly. "Apparently," he said. "Why? Didn't think I'd wake up today and watch a girl die," Dane said. He pulled her close and jumped off the side of the platform. Laser fire rang out behind them. Alarms screamed. Sirens blared across the square. Dane ran. He carried her through the crowd, down an alley into the old market tunnels. Sayela held onto him tightly, not because she trusted him, but because he was the only one who had ever stood up for her, and she didn't even know his name. They stopped in a dark corner, breathing hard. She looked at him. "You're human." He nodded. "Yeah. I thought humans didn't care about our kind." He looked at her seriously. "I don't care about rules. I care about people." She was silent for a moment, then said, "My name is Sayela. I'm Dane." And just like that, 2 strangers became something more than prisoners of fate. They were now running together. But in the tower above, the High Judge stared at the burning drone, his eyes full of fury. "Send the hunters," he growled, "and put a bounty on the human." Smoke still hung in the air as Dane Carter carried Sayela through the back alleys of Tormalith. Sirens screamed above them. Bright red lights lit up the skies like war had begun, and maybe it had. Not for a city, but for two people who shouldn't have met and now couldn't be apart. Turn left, Selah whispered, her voice weak. There's an old freight tunnel, no cameras. Dane didn't ask how she knew. He just trusted her. He turned into a narrow passage between two crumbling buildings. The walls dripped with green slime. Trash bots zipped out of their way. Behind them, shouts grew louder. They're closing in, Dane muttered. We need to disappear. I know where, Selah said. He stopped and set her down gently. Can you walk? She nodded, even though her legs shook. I have to. Together? They moved fast, her limp barely slowing them. She led him to a rusted grate near a sewer drain. This leads to the subfire tunnels, she said. Sounds lovely. It's hot, it's toxic. They won't follow. Perfect. Dane pried open the grate. Heat blasted out, making his eyes water. They climbed inside, one after the other. The tunnel was narrow, dark, and smelled like burned metal and chemicals. Pipes hissed around them. Some leaked steam, others sparked. Step carefully, Selah said. The floor plates shift. They walked slowly. Above them, heavy boots ran by. Searchlights passed over the grate, then faded. Dane exhaled. They didn't see us. Not yet, Selah said. But they won't stop. They traveled for what felt like hours through twisting metal tunnels. At one point, they had to crawl over a broken bridge. Nothing below them but fire vents. Dane helped her across, holding her hand tight. You're brave, he said. No. I'm just used to pain, she replied. He didn't respond, but he understood. Finally, they reached a forgotten maintenance room. Small, dry, and quiet. Old repair bots lay dead in corners. They collapsed onto the ground. Selah winced. My back. The collar burned it. Dane pulled a water pack from his bag and gently cleaned the wound. Who put that thing on you? The High Judge. He wanted me silent. Why? Because I said no. Dane raised an eyebrow. No? To a forced union with a powerful leader. He wanted my family's secrets. My refusal made me a traitor. He stared at her. You risked your life to protect... What? A code? She nodded. My family guards an energy core, one that powers entire cities. He wanted control. Dane looked away, thinking, you don't owe him anything. I know. That's why they tried to kill me. Silence fell for a while. Selah spoke again. Why did you help me? He looked at her. You were alone. Afraid. No one moved. Not even your own people. She blinked. But humans aren't even allowed to interfere in local justice. He shrugged. I break rules. Selah gave the smallest smile. You're strange. You're welcome. Suddenly a noise echoed through the wall. Clang. Dane jumped to his feet. Selah whispered, Tracker bots. He peeked through a broken vent and saw it, a floating silver drone scanning the walls with a red light. He pulled out a small device from his jacket, a jammer. Will this work? She asked. For a few seconds, he said. He tossed it out the vent. Buzz, pop. The drone flickered, then exploded, but the explosion triggered something else. Alarms, system breach detected, pursuit activated. Dane cursed. Time to run. Again. They moved fast through the side tunnel, dodging between fallen pipes and sharp corners. Ahead, another grate led into the underrail system, but the metal had fused shut. Dane pulled a laser cutter. Cover me. Selah grabbed a broken pipe and stood guard, wobbling on her feet. The cutter hissed. The grate began to melt. Then, a Hunter-class droid dropped from the ceiling, tall, armed, silent, its scanner locked on Selah. Target acquired. Eliminate. Selah swung the pipe. The droid caught it midair and tossed her aside. Dane turned just in time and shot it with the cutter beam. Sparks. The droid stumbled, but didn't fall. He jumped, grabbing its head and slamming it against the wall. The droid slammed back, hitting, Dane's ribs hard. Sayla crawled over, grabbed the drone's leg and jammed a broken rod into its wiring. Crack. The droid sparked and collapsed. Both of them sat on the floor, breathing hard. Dane laughed. "Remind me never to doubt you again." She smiled, despite the pain. "You're welcome. Again." He finished cutting the grate, and they slipped through. The tunnel beyond was quiet. Safe. For now. Sayla leaned against him as they walked. "You don't even know me," she said. "I know enough." "Like what?" "You didn't give up. Even with chains. Even with fire." She looked at him. "You're different." "So, are you?" And neither of them said it aloud. But something inside both of them had already begun to change. The tunnel opened into a wide, empty chamber. This place had once been a service station for underrail trains, now long abandoned. The walls were cracked, the ceiling dripped water, and old transport crates lay in corners covered in dust. But to Dane and Sayla, it was perfect. A place to breathe, a place to hide, a place with no eyes watching. Dane dropped his bag and looked around. "No cameras, no drones, no footsteps behind us. I think we're good. For now." Sayla slowly lowered herself to sit against the wall. Her arms were weak, her ankle was swollen, but her eyes were sharp again. "Rest," Dane said gently. "You've done enough today." She nodded, but her body was still tense. Even now, she didn't know how to relax. Dane built a small heat lamp using power cells from his tools. The soft glow warmed the space around them. He handed her a protein bar. "Tastes like rubber, but it's better than nothing." Sayla bit it carefully. "It's terrible," he laughed. "Told you." For a moment they smiled like two normal people. Then the silence returned. Not awkward, just heavy. After some time, Sayla spoke. "I wasn't always like this." Dane looked over. "Like what?" "Afraid. Broken. Quiet." He said nothing. Just listened. "I used to sing," she continued. "Back in the core halls of House Viren. I'd sing during energy ceremonies. My voice helped stabilize the light fields." Dane raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you're a light weaver?" She nodded. "One of the last. My family's bloodline carries an old energy pattern. It connects to the ancient cores that still power parts of this planet, and the High Judge wanted that. He wanted to own it and use me as the key." Her voice lowered. "When I refused, he called it treason." Dane leaned forward. "Why didn't anyone protect you?" Sayla laughed, bitterly. "Because power is louder than truth, and I was just a girl born with the wrong voice at the wrong time." He frowned. "You're not powerless now." She met his eyes. "Then why did I need you to save me?" Dane paused, then said softly, "You didn't need saving. You needed someone to stand beside you." Her lips trembled, not from sadness, from something else, from being understood. Later, while Dane cleaned her wounds with a medgel patch, he noticed scars along her spine. Long, thin, old. "What are these?" Sayla didn't answer at first, then, "Training." "Training for what?" "To control my voice. When I failed to meet the tones, I was punished." Dane felt a burn in his chest. Not anger, rage. "They hurt you, for not being perfect? For not being what they wanted," she said. He stood and paced the room, fists clenched. "These people, they're monsters." Sayla looked at him with tired eyes. "Not all. Some just follow orders." He turned to her. "And what do you want?" She stared into the firelight. "I want to be more than a symbol." He knelt beside her. "You already are." That night, they took turns sleeping. Dane kept watch with his weapon ready. At one point, Sayla woke up from a nightmare. She sat up, breathing fast. Dane was at her side in seconds. "Hey, you're safe. It's over." "No," she said. "It's not over. They'll keep hunting me." He nodded. "Then let them come. We'll face them together. She looked at him closely. You don't even know why this matters. He smiled. I don't need to know everything. I just know you matter. Sayla's throat tightened. No one had ever said that to her before. Before sunrise, they packed again. We can't stay long, Dane said. This place won't be safe once they scan the tunnels. Where do we go? To the edge of the Badlands. I know someone there. An old pilot. She owes me a favor. Sayla nodded. Then let's move. They stood together, not as fugitive and protector, but as something closer. Outside the broken chamber, a small spider drone watched from the shadows. It clicked once, then vanished into the dark. The Badlands of Virel 5 were wide and empty. Miles of cracked red ground, broken cliffs, and sharp wind. No cities. No towers. No noise. Only silence. But Dane and Sayla were not alone. Something was following them. And this time, it wasn't just a drone. They moved across the dry rock plain, heading toward a signal tower Dane remembered from years ago. His friend, an ex-pilot named Mara, used to hide there. If anyone could fly them off this cursed planet, it was her. Sayla walked beside him, her steps lighter than before. She no longer leaned on him, no longer asked to stop. And she held a weapon now, a small shock blade Dane had given her before they left the tunnel. You sure you're ready to use that? He had asked. Her answer was calm. If they come for me again, I won't wait to die. The sun burned high as they reached a shallow canyon. Dane signaled to stop. He scanned the horizon with his scope. Nothing. Too quiet. Sayla watched him closely. You feel it too? He nodded. Something's wrong. Then it happened. A sharp whistle cut through the air. A plasma bolt slammed into the ground beside them. Ambush. 3 hunter units stepped out from behind the rocks. They weren't droids this time. They were elite soldiers in black armor. Sent by the High Judge. Fast, precise. No questions asked. Stand down, human, the leader shouted. The girl belongs to us. Dane raised his weapon. No, she doesn't. Sayla stepped beside him. Run on my signal, he whispered. No, she whispered back. Not this time. He glanced at her. Sayla. She stepped forward. The wind picked up around her. She raised her hand. And she sang. Not loud. Not a scream. Just a tone. High. Clear. Pure. The wind curved with her voice. The ground shook softly. The air glowed faintly around her. The soldiers hesitated. Just for a second. It was enough. Dane fired first, hitting the lead hunter in the shoulder. The second rushed him. But Sayla moved fast, striking low with her blade, a perfect hit to the leg. The soldier dropped. The third grabbed her from behind, claws reaching for her throat. But she spun, elbowed him hard and stabbed her blade into his side. He fell without a word. Silence returned. 3 soldiers, gone. Dane turned to her, stunned. Where did you learn that? My mother taught me, she said, breathing hard. But I wasn't allowed to use it outside the core halls. He stared at her. That wasn't just singing. That was energy manipulation. She nodded. The bloodline voice. My ancestors tuned the old cores with sound. He smiled. Then I guess we've got more than weapons now. She looked at the fallen hunters. They'll send more. Let them, he said. We'll keep walking. As they moved again, Sayla walked with new strength in her step. Not because she wanted revenge, but because, for the first time, she fought back and won. She looked at Dane. Back in the square, I thought I was alone. You weren't, he said. I didn't believe I had anything left. You do now. By sunset, they reached the signal tower. It was an old station half buried in dust, metal legs bent, wires hanging. But it still blinked a soft green light from the top. Dane smiled. She's still here. He knocked 3 times on the side panel. A voice crackled through the speaker. If that's you, Carter, you owe me 5 crates of rations and a new ship wing. He laughed. Still better than getting shot. The door opened. A tall woman in a flight jacket stood there, arms crossed. Mara. She looked at Sayla, then at Dane. "So, you made a mess," he nodded. "A big one," she smirked. "Good. I missed this kind of trouble." They went inside, as Mara began prepping the ship for launch. Dane and Sayla sat in the cargo bay. She stared at the stars through the small window. "Do you think I'll ever be free?" "You already are," Dane said. "No, not from chains, from fear." He thought for a second, then said, "You don't have to fight it alone anymore." She looked at him. In his eyes she saw no judgment, only belief, and that belief was changing everything. The stars outside the signal tower blinked like tiny eyes watching from a distance. Inside the old freighter's cargo bay, Sayla sat quietly, her fingers tracing the cold metal floor. Dane was nearby, checking his gear, but his eyes often drifted toward her. He could feel it. Something was different now, not just the silence between them, but the way it felt full, not empty. Mara, the pilot, called from the front of the ship. "We'll be ready to launch in 20 minutes. After that, no turning back." Sayla stood and looked at Dane. "Before we go, there's something I have to show you." He frowned. "What is it?" "My truth." She walked past him into the ship's side lab, dusty, unused for years. There she opened her palm and placed a small silver chip on the scanner. The screen glowed. "Access granted. House Viren core signature detected." Dane's eyes widened. "You're a key." Sayla nodded. "More than a key. My blood holds the genetic code to one of the last surviving ancient energy cores, the kind that powered cities long before even your human colonies arrived." He stepped closer. "And that's what the High Judge wants." She nodded again. "With me, he could take over all the power grids across Varel 5, control food, water, oxygen. And without you, he has nothing." Dane stared at the screen. "You carry more than knowledge, you carry the future." She looked down. "I used to hate that. I thought it made me a prisoner. But now," she looked up into his eyes, "now I understand it's my choice who I give it to." A long silence followed. Dane finally said, "Why me, Sayla? Why tell me all this?" She walked closer. "Because you saw me when I was nothing. Not a code, not a symbol, just a girl in chains." Dane's voice softened. "You were never nothing. You believed in me," she said, "even when I didn't." He stepped closer, now only inches away. "You gave me a reason to believe again," he said. Their eyes locked, and for a moment the war, the pain, the planet, all faded. They didn't kiss. Not yet. But something passed between them. Real, wordless, strong. Suddenly Mara's voice broke the moment. "Trouble incoming. Small ship approaching fast. Government seal." Dane and Sayla ran to the front of the ship. Mara pointed at the screen. "That's no patrol, that's a Hunter-class interceptor." Sayla's face went pale. "They're tracking my blood signature." Dane grabbed a plasma rifle. "We hold them off. We don't let them take you." Mara started powering up the engines. "You've got 5 minutes." Sayla turned to Dane. "You're not going out there alone." He smirked. "Didn't think you'd let me." Outside, under the starlit sky, the enemy ship landed hard. Dust exploded. 3 elite soldiers stepped out, faster, stronger, upgraded with tech. They didn't speak. They just raised their weapons. Dane fired first. The fight began. Sayla moved like wind, her shock blade dancing, her voice humming with power. She used her tone again, light weaving, sending one soldier crashing into a metal pillar with sound alone. Dane ducked, rolled, blasted the second in the chest. The third one aimed for Sayla. Dane leaped in the way. Bang. The plasma bolt hit him in the shoulder. He dropped to one knee. Sayla screamed, crushing to his side. The soldier raised his weapon again, but hesitated. Sayla stood in front of Dane, eyes glowing. "I'm not afraid anymore," she whispered, and she sang. A long, rising note. The energy around her exploded in light. The final soldier was thrown backward unconscious. Silence. Sayla dropped beside Dane. His arm was burned, but he was awake. "You took a shot for me," she said. He smiled through pain. "Had to. You're kind of important." She held his hand. "Not because of my blood." "No," he said, "because of you." They returned to the ship just as the engines fired. Mara lifted off. The freighter shook, rising into the stars. In the med bay, Sayla helped wrap Dane's arm. He winced. "Still hurts." She touched his face gently. "You'll live." He looked at her. "So, what now?" Sayla took a deep breath. "Now I stop running. We go to the rebel core. I'll use the code in my blood, but only to help people, not control them." Dane smiled. "Sounds like a plan." She leaned close, forehead touching his. "We do it together," she said, and this time, they didn't stop the kiss. The stars looked calm, but the space near Sector 9B, just outside, the rebel zone was anything but. Inside the freighter's cockpit, alarms were flashing. Shields were half dead. A warning message blinked across the screen. "Access denied. Border lockdown in effect." Dane gripped the pilot's chair tightly. Mara was flying fast, too fast. Behind them, Sayla watched the map closely. The border, gate to the resistance base, was closing. "They're sealing it," she whispered. "They know we're coming." Dane frowned. "How? We didn't send any signals." Mara's voice was tight. "Somebody sold you out." A loud ping rang through the ship. Enemy ships were inbound, 4 of them. Fast, armed, and painted with the order's insignia. Sayla's heart sank. "They're here for me." Dane turned to her. "No, they're here because they're scared of you." He reached for his plasma rifle and tossed a second one to her. "This doesn't end here." She caught it. Her hands no longer trembled. Mara shouted from the front. "Hold tight. We're not outrunning them. We're breaking through." The ship dove low toward the giant gate, 2 massive towers spinning with energy, forming the only path into rebel space. As they approached, the enemy ships opened fire. Explosions rocked the freighter. Sayla fell against the wall. Sparks flew. Overhead, Mara screamed, "We lose shields in 60 seconds." Dane pulled Sayla to cover. He looked her in the eye. "We can't make it unless someone opens that gate from the outside." Her voice cracked. "That's suicide." "I'll do it," he said. "No," she said sharply. "Not again. Not alone." But before they could argue, a small drone flew into the room, beeping in panic. It was Mara's scout bot, used to scan enemy frequencies. Dane checked the screen. His face turned hard. "What is it?" Sayla asked. "The leak," he said. "The betrayal." He turned to Mara. "It was you." Mara didn't deny it. She just stared back coldly. "They offered me a clean record. A ship. My name removed from every bounty list." "You sold her out?" Dane said, stunned. "After all we've been through?" Mara's voice shook. "You don't know what it's like, Dane, to always be hunted, to always be a ghost." Sayla stepped forward. "Then you should have known exactly how it feels to be in my place." Mara looked down. She didn't speak again. Dane pulled Sayla aside. "We have one chance. The emergency pod. It can reach the manual override on the outer ring." "I'm going," Sayla said. "No," Dane said. "You've done enough." "I haven't done anything yet," she whispered. "All my life I ran. Let me finish something." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll cover you from here." They suited her in a pressure harness, hooked her to a launch cable, and aimed the pod toward the spinning energy towers of the gate. Mara helped silently, her guilt showing in every movement. Before the launch, Dane grabbed Sayla's hand. "If anything happens, it won't," she said, "because you'll be waiting." Then, she was gone. The pod flew fast, dodging blasts, slicing through space debris. It crashed hard onto the gate's surface. Metal screeched as it landed. Sayla stumbled out, sprinting toward the override panel. Her fingers moved quickly. One wrong code, and the gate would lock forever. Enemy ships spotted her and turned. She began to sing. Not loud, not afraid, but strong. Her voice echoed across the metal ring. The gate responded, spinning faster, lights flashing green. The code in her blood reacted with the ancient system, and the gate opened. Back on the freighter, Dane shouted, "She did it, let's move!" Mara pushed the ship forward. The enemy fired again, but too late. The freighter jumped into the rebel zone. Safe. At the edge of the open gate, Sayla collapsed. Her voice was dry, her strength gone. A small escape shuttle was launched from the freighter. Dane piloted it himself, blasting past falling debris, reaching her just in time. He picked her up, held her close. "You're insane," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "Took me long enough to be brave." They flew back together, the gate closing behind them. Dane held her hand in silence. No more running, no more hiding. Just her, alive, and him, beside her. The sky over Taraxis base, the heart of the rebellion, was always gray. Clouds of smoke from broken cities and burnt towers floated above, reminders of a planet still healing. But inside the walls of the rebel stronghold, something brighter was, growing hope. Inside the medical bay, Sayla opened her eyes. Soft lights glowed above her. The humming sound of healing machines filled the quiet room, and beside her, head resting on the edge of the bed, was Dane. He looked older now, not in age, but in wear. He had slept in that chair for 2 nights straight. She smiled weakly. "You stayed." He woke with a jolt. "You're awake." She nodded. "Did we make it?" "You opened the gate," he said. "You saved us all." Sayla looked down at her arms, still bandaged. "I thought I wouldn't survive." "You did more than survive," Dane said. "You changed everything." Later that day, the rebel leaders held a meeting in the central hall. Sayla stood before them, not in chains, not in silence, but dressed in simple armor, her hair tied back, her voice steady. The rebel commander, a grizzled old woman named General Rax, stood and spoke. "You carry the key," she said, "the last living link to the ancient energy core. With your blood, we can power cities again, heal the land, feed the people." Sayla replied calmly, "I won't be used, not by anyone." The room went quiet. She continued, "But I will help you, on my terms. I'll teach. I'll share the song of the core, but no one owns me again." Dane watched from the crowd, pride glowing in his eyes. She wasn't just a girl who escaped death anymore. She was a voice the galaxy needed. In the weeks that followed, things changed fast. Sayla worked with engineers and singers, showing them how her voice tuned the ancient core beneath the rebel base. Energy returned to dead zones. Clean water flowed again. Starvation was stopped. Dane trained local defense teams, teaching rebel fighters how to handle order tech. But at night, when the lights dimmed, they always found each other. Not with grand speeches, but with quiet presence and eyes that said, "I'm still here." One evening, they sat on the roof of the base watching the moons rise. Sayla leaned her head on Dane's shoulder. "You know," she said softly, "I never believed in love." He smiled. "Me neither. It always felt like a story for other people, safe people, perfect people. You're perfect to me," she laughed. "Liar," he chuckled. "A little, but not about that." She looked up at him. "Why did you really save me, Dane, back in the square?" He paused, then said, "Because I saw a girl who stood tall, even when the world tried to crush her, and I thought, if she can stand, I can too." Tears filled her eyes, but didn't fall. She simply whispered, "Thank you." And for the first time, she kissed him, not out of fear, not out of pain, but out of choice. Far away, the high judge sat in silence watching the latest rebel broadcast. Sayla's voice echoed across the channel, teaching young voices how to awaken the cores. His hands shook. His plan had failed. His symbol of control had become a symbol of freedom. He turned off the screen, and in the darkness he whispered, "This isn't over." But deep inside he knew. He had lost. Back on Taraxis base, Sayela and Dane walked through the training yard side by side. The fighters nodded to her with respect. Children smiled at her without fear, and the people no longer whispered about the girl who once stood in the chains. They now spoke of the one who unlocked the stars. Sayela stopped and turned to Dane. "Are we really free now?" He thought for a moment. "Maybe not yet, but we're getting closer." She reached for his hand. "Then let's go the rest of the way. Together." And he didn't answer with words. He just held her hand tighter,